Hi everyone, this is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest today is Mark Smith. Mark has a passion for trains. He is an ex-train man, but he loved trains so much that he started a beautiful website, so informative, called seat61.com. And we've got some questions for you, Mark, about train travel. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi there. Well, Mark, I'm so glad to chat with you because we've talked a little bit before about the fact that flying now is become a little bit of a stressful experience, and trains can be considered an alternative, a stress-free alternative to flying. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing, of course, is that they leave from the city centre.
Yes.
So in the best cases, you can saunter out of your hotel, cross the road, walk into the station, look at the indicator board and just hop on the train and you're on their way. And there's no check-in. You just walk up to the train, hop on any time before departure and off you go. So straight away, they're streets ahead of the airport and airline experience.
You know, and if you actually think about it, if you're taking a train from, like, for example, I don't know, Zurich, where I am, to Berlin, by the time you've gone to the airport, waited in line for an hour or two, and then at the other end, you know, tried to find your way to the city centre, it's about the same length of time as well. You know,
well, they used to say that if the train journey was 3 hours, it's the same length of time as a 1 hour flight, because it's half an hour to the airport, an hour check-in, an hour flight, and half an hour into the city centre. But that's actually changed with the enhanced security, congestion on the roads to airports and so forth. We're now seeing people preferring the train, even where the journey takes 4 or even 5 hours.
Yeah.
And even if it takes a bit longer than that, Paris to Barcelona, you can do on a high-speed train through some fantastic scenery in 6 hours, 20 minutes. We're seeing people take the train there instead of flying because it's just such a superior experience to the nightmare of planes and flights.
Well, I totally agree with you. And that whole thing about the experience, I think, is what's lacking in air travel, is that your experience is all about security and kind of nervous and, you know, the delays that can happen at airports. Whereas a train, you seem to have more control about your situation. You know, I often think about trains like time machines. Like, they kind of, when you're sitting there, you kind of think back over your past and then you're planning for the future. And, you know, trains just create stories. So tell me about a story that happened, or maybe a couple on trains that never would happen on a plane. Just something that was really stress-free but interesting.
Well, lots of interesting things happen on trains. It's just a place where those sort of things happening. I was on a train from Kiev in the Ukraine back to Warsaw on the way back from a holiday there, and I thought by the time we got to Polish border control, I thought we're home and dry. We'll be in Warsaw in an hour or two. And there was some banging coming along from the corridor, banging and hammering, and it sounded like somebody taking the sleeping car to bits, which is exactly what they were doing. And pretty soon, Polish customs, a guy in a jumpsuit, comes into my compartment and starts removing various panels until he discovers an entire off-licence of illicit vodka behind a panel 3 feet above my head. I wish I'd known. I could have done with a drink. But they removed it very swiftly, and there's me thinking that if this was British customs, that will be it. We'd be there for the next 10 hours. But no, they removed it very quickly, disappeared, and we were on our way and got into Warsaw just 45 minutes late.
It happens all the time, probably.
Yes, I think they knew that was coming.
But you see, that's a great story. And I mean, that may not have been completely stress-free. You might have thought for a moment you're going to be arrested, but still, you come away from that with just an experience that's unique and really cool.
I think that's the key thing. If you go by air, all you're getting is transportation.
Yeah.
You're moving yourself to the next photo opportunity. And I think you've got to rethink the whole journey concept, because the journey can be, at best, it can be a highlight of your trip, but it's part of the vacation. It's not transportation between different parts of the vacation. It's a whole change of attitude towards journeys. Journeys can be fun. And that's quite a difficult concept to get over if all you know, if your only experience of long journeys is sitting on an aircraft or sitting on a freeway watching the hands on your watch go round.
Yeah, and I would really encourage people who are watching to check out Mark's website, seat61.com, because if you're short of ideas about trains or you think that they're only like big buses that go from one place to the other, there is a whole world of train travel around the world. We've talked about Europe before, but tell me a bit about some other either like the overland. Did you do the overland from London to India, for example, or in Asia? Have you done any of those long, winding journeys?
Well, of course, I've taken the Trans-Siberian a couple of times, and they were two completely different experiences. I
Yeah.
travelled from Moscow to Beijing, which is about 5,000 miles. It takes 6 nights. It's not a luxury train. It's comfortable. It's got a restaurant car. It's got 2 berth and 4 berth compartments. It had about 50 Westerners on it, and it was like a party all the way. Everyone got to know everyone else. You stretch your legs at stops. You go to the restaurant for your meals. The scenery changes from Siberian birch trees and wooden houses and mud streets to the Gobi Desert crossing Mongolia with camels and yurts, which are the nomads' tents, and then, of course, to the mountains of China. So absolutely fantastic experience. I'd highly recommend it. About £450 gets you a one-way ticket from Moscow to
Is that
Beijing.
all? Wow.
But I also travelled on the Trans-Siberian on the Russian train from Moscow to Vladivostok, which was 7 days of Siberia. So even I was getting a little stir crazy by the time I got to Vladivostok for the ship to Japan. But I did make it from London to Tokyo in about 14 days.
That's incredible. I don't think there's a train. Is there a train journey that you haven't done in this world?
Far too many, but I'm working
Wow.
through them one by one.
Well, it's amazing to hear your stories. And again, if you go to the website, you'll find all kinds of great lessons learned from those kinds of trips and things to look for. And you've got great pictures too of kind of what the carriage looks like, what the buffet car looks like, what the sleeping rooms look like, and it's just easy to make decisions. And you also have some holiday recommendations and beautiful train journeys, for example, in Switzerland, and just specials to look for. It's great.
Yeah, well, it's all about inspiring people and
Yeah.
also demystifying things that
Yes.
people aren't familiar with and giving people the confidence to do something much more interesting than just schlepping to an airport and getting on a flight.
Well, I think that you've outlined a great alternative to flying. I mean, flying has its benefits. If you've got to be somewhere fast in an emergency, or you've got a deadline, yes, go by plane. But if you're wanting an experience, I just think that nothing beats trains, and it puts your mind, with the rocking of the train, the visuals going by you. It's just it kind of forces you to think, doesn't it?
No better place to think than on a train. I think you're actually away from all those doorbells and phone calls and disruptions and interruptions. Good place to read, good place to think.
Good place to write a book, I guess. Are you going to do that one day? A book on your travels?
Well, I have written a couple of books about train travel, so
Oh, okay.
based on the website.
I didn't actually know that, so we'll be sure to include those in the description that we include in the article with this video. Okay, well, Mark, you've given me lots of great ideas. I actually really can't wait to plan the next one. So thank you again for your inspiration. It's really good talking to you.